Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to this session that we organize as part of the summer school of the Alliance by Institute for Bocuse. Today, we have a very special guest, a celebrity chef, Ali Ronay, and he's going to give us a masterclass. I'm going to introduce Ali, Chef Ali, to you first of all. Ali was born in 1978. He began his education at Istanbul Bilgi University and studied visual communication design. But he decided to pursue his dream of culinary arts and hotel management and attended Institute for Bocuse. Well, there is this French part is coming. Excuse my French. École des Arts Culinaires et de Hôtel. I couldn't say it, sorry. Okay, thank you so much. Later, he went to the United States, to Washington, D.C., and under the guidance of Chef Aret Shahai Khan, he gained experience, and at the time he was at the age of 28, and he started working in different restaurants and hotels, both in Turkey and abroad. Upon returning to Turkey, Ali started to work at the Ritz-Carlton Istanbul as the youngest Turkish chef. Later, he continued as the executive chef at Kempinski Barbaros Bey Bodrum. He was also the executive chef during the pre-opening of Raffles Zorlu Center in Istanbul. He was also the corporate chef of Doğan Dream. This is, I think, the Doğan Holding. And then he joined the Swiss Hotel Bosphorus Istanbul. He was the first Turkish executive chef there. He also gained experience while he was working in these properties. And during the time he worked with a number of Michelin star chefs, including Paco Perez, Sven Elberfeld, and Sergei Arola. Sorry for my pronunciation of these names. He was a jury member in one of the most popular TV channels, Fox TV, and he was the jury member at the Taste Turkey first. And at the time, his team won first place twice in a row. Then he was the jury member in another TV program called Chef Academy of the same channel. Ali's ambition is to continue his research on the 12,000-year-old Anatolian cuisines and promote them worldwide. Ali is also an entrepreneur. He founded an international food and beverage consultancy company, and he is also the co-founder of Ronay's Deli. And today he is going to show us one of the best examples of the Anatolian cuisine, I think. The floor is yours, Ali. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for this online session from your own kitchen.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Eda, for the introduction. I'm happy to be here, first of all. It was, as I said, a dream coming true for me because I graduated from Institute for Bocuse at 2001. And almost, this is my 25th year of my career and in the restaurant and hotel business. And as Eda mentioned, done lots of things all around the world, and it has been my passion, and hotels and restaurants and cooking. And how it all started, I want to go back to 25 years ago. How it all started with a quote. The quote was, Turkish cuisine is one of the greatest cuisines in the world, but unfortunately, no one has recognized it as it should be. And this really came to me very nonsense quote, because if something is that great, you should be able to, acknowledge people to acknowledge it. So I've decided to go for it and take the challenge and work as much as I can and to represent Turkish cuisine around the world. And my idea was always to travel the world and to live in the hotels. That was my childhood dream, and therefore, and become a designer. So I follow my dreams and end up at the Institut Paul Bocuse, nowadays called. It was École des Arts de Culinary at that time in Lyon. And I took my 8 months of French culinary arts and culture certificate there and finished my hotel management degree in Turkey and decided went to pursue my career. And along the way, of course, it's never been easy. My secret has always been hardworking with passion and dedication. So didn't fail me, thank goodness, till now. And of course, there were good days as much as there were bad days. But it's every day is a new day. So whenever you go for the day and you make it happen. So that's been my mission. And lately, I have a chance to cook for this beautiful cookbook we have done. This is Turkish cuisine. We did it for the presidency of the Turkish government and with the support of Culture of Ministry and Tourism and the presidency of Turkey. And so this was one of my dreams that I needed to accomplish. We cooked 235 recipes, and along with other chefs, of course, with our colleagues in Turkey and around of the Turkey, and I happened to be the one of the chefs who was into it. But me and my team, we did all the recipes back then at the Swiss Hotel. I want a little bit of mention about the Turkish cuisine and how rich is it. And maybe some of you heard, maybe some of you never heard of Turkish cuisine. And some of you might know, doner kebab or kebabs or shish kebab, this kind of kebabs in general, of course, comes from the land of Turkey. But not only when we are the nation of kebabs, we do have beautiful recipes. We do have beautiful regions. We have seasonal cookings. We have many thousands of recipes, I would say. And we are proud of our cooking and cuisine and culture. And we are very, very, very much food-oriented people, I would say. And we talk about food even while we're eating food. For, let's say, we talk about lunch while we're having breakfast. We talk about dinner while we're having lunch. What to eat, what to do, which place is the best place to go, which recipe is the best recipe to cook. So it's all about those interactions and households. We're mother-oriented houses. Our mothers are the leader of the house, so they do the cooking. They do all the many works for the house. So each household, even though we have a recipe book, but each household has their own way of cooking. So that comes into again thousands of recipes, and which is very interesting. We say recipe gives you the guidance. It gives you the guidance. This is the ingredients what you have for the spring. And you learn the methodology, you learn the techniques. The rest is up to you. You can, improvise it like a jazz player. Then it becomes something else, of course. As long as you stick with the recipe, you follow the traditions. But your mind can create thousands of recipes by just improvising it. So, which is a fantastic line of art, I would say, and I'm happy to be part of it. And So Turkish cuisine, basically, what is Turkish cuisine we're talking about? So as some of you know, Turkey, where we are, which is what we call Anatolia. Anatolia word comes from Greek, Anadolu, and which means the part of the Asia, small part of the Asia, minor part of the Asia, Asya Minor. So it is the land between Asia and Europe. We call it, it's a natural bridge in between those two continents. You know, as a matter of fact, we have bridges connecting the Asia and Europe together in Istanbul. So every day, for instance, we go to work, we cross the bridge and go to Europe. And at home, on the way back, we cross the bridge and we are in Asia and we're at home. So it's a funny thing, crossing the continents on a daily basis. And so going back to 12,000 years in history, where we were the hunter and gatherers, since we are in this geographical bridge, Turkey has always were the point of immigration. So people cross this land to go to other places. So for instance, 12,000 years ago, from the Mesopotamia, where it all got started, down almost nowadays called northern Syria, Iraq, part of Lebanon, and Palestinian, all those lands were the first settlements. So from there, some people immigrate to Asia, some people immigrate to Europe, and that's how it all got started from this land. So, of course, this immigration still continues nowadays. We have many people coming in and going out. So this is what leaves all these traces of food and the culture in this land. So that's why our gastronomy is very rich, I would say. Even though we know this many dishes, we are proud to call their Turkish dishes, but as a matter of fact, they are not. We learned these techniques from, sorry, we learned these techniques from Eastern Romans, from Byzantines. Kebabs, we learned it from Arabs. I'm very sorry. So as a Turks, we also immigrate to this land at the 10th century. So to call this as our dish, how it became our dish, because layer by layer in historical time, Turkey is the last. Very sorry, we had a small phone call coming in. So why we call this the cuisine as a Turkish cuisine? Because we are the last nation built in this land. So after the Ottomans, Turkish Republic came over in the year 1920, and we are the Turkish nation now. And so this all recipes, we call them the Turkish cuisine, because layer by layer become the Turkish cuisine. Still, we mention them. These recipes belongs to those people who was living before us. So that's to be mentioned, because to continue the tradition and the culture, as a matter of fact. But this is what I believe. So today, what I would like to do is artichokes braised with onions and some peas, lemon juice, and dill. So this is called vegetables cooked with olive oil. So actually, the vegetables braised slowly in olive oil. This technique comes from the Eastern Romans, and they have done many vegetables this way, and we have adapted it, and we love them. As a matter of fact, they are very healthy, very seasonal, and in very different varieties types. And so it's a great example for vegetarian cooking. So not, as I say, we're not the nation of, only the nation of kebabs. You see, we have, I can name maybe 50 just like this, vegetables cooked in olive oil. This is what I wanted to show you today. So I have already prepared some bruma onions. I have one piece of garlic that I will put it inside and take it out afterwards. And I have the artichokes cleaned already, ready. Some water, olive oil, dill, and lemon. All these dishes includes a bit of sugar while you're cooking it. So just kills this acidity of the onions. So it's a very straightforward recipe, and it's a great actually recipe for summertime, I would say, and spring and summer, because they are light. You don't want to eat that much of it during that summertime. So
Ali Chef, artichokes or this dish that you're going to show us, there is something called Mediterranean diet.
certainly,
Is it part of the Mediterranean diet? Can we include these dishes as part of it?
certainly, Turkish cuisine definitely fits into that Mediterranean diet, because we don't consume meat every day on a daily basis. So there must be a balance in between vegetables, grains, and poultry, seafood, and meat, of course. So there's a good combination of it in our cuisine. Of course, within time, it's also changed. Fast food wasn't popular like this 20 years ago. We never had this restaurant that much only 20 years ago. So it's also, it's changing, but we're still pulling it and keeping it a little bit in a traditional way, as much as we can. So, what I'm just going to do is just turn on the heat into a medium heat. While the cooking is one of my most passionate things, so I've changed this kitchen into a studio kitchen during the pandemic and start cooking from my kitchen rather than going to hotel or my restaurants. This is where we did most of the cookings during the pandemic. Of course, it changed all of our lives and habits, but slowly, it seems like we're going back to normal.
During the pandemic, did you try new things, or what sort of things? At home, everybody did some things in their kitchen, like different breads and some other things. So did you change?
It was a great opportunity for me to sit down and read, and that gave me all that time to do all this reading while I didn't have a chance before. And rather than trying new things, I did lots of reading. And my hotel where I was working, and we did lots of support cooking for hospitals, for healthcare members, and our hotel was open, and we had after the restrictions finished for the summertime, we had a very busy season. For the 2 seasons we did it. So it was a difficult and different time of our life, and definitely puts different kind of mindset in all of us. And so we'll see how this new world will be. So I have heated up my pan, where I'm just going to basically add some olive oil. So these dishes are cooked in olive oil. So basically, you need to have a good olive oil. We use Turkish, of course. Very interestingly, we are one of the world's greatest olive oil producer, and we sell our olive oil to other countries as well. We export it as well.
We had guests from the United States just before the pandemic. They all got olive oil from Turkey. They brought olive oil to the States.
I mean, during my career, I always wanted to, highlight the ingredients of Turkish cuisine as well, because without the ingredients, you will never accomplish the full dish. And so, I mean, I've worked with lots of many other people around the world, done cooking in their kitchen. They come, we cook in our kitchen as well, from all around the world, people from chefs all around the world. And what I've seen, they always carry their own ingredients with them, the key ingredients, what makes their cuisine strong. And so I mean, Turkish cuisine back then, maybe 20, 25 years ago, it was, we go to places and whatever ingredient you find, you try to emphasize cooking on that. I said, this is very nonsense, not logical. Because if you want to deliver the result, and if you want to be 100% all the time accurate with your result, then you have to, take your own ingredients. And so it's interesting because what is interesting, our cooking has never got up on the world haute cuisine level. We always cook to feed people. This is our culture, and this is what it is. This is who we are, and we always cook for the feast. We always cook for the celebrations. We always cook for. I mean, we cook on our lifetime. When the child borns, we prepare a meal. When the elder passes away, we prepare another meal. So we have a celebration, we again cook. We have a occasion, we cook. So we never eat for 2, 3 people. We always cook for a group of people. So whatever you prepare you have to feed the crowd. So it was never the idea of reaching the level of the fine gastronomy. It was it has to be delicious and practical and should feed people and crowds or masses. So I have added my onions, slowly braising them. And the secret of this recipe that you have to use lots of onions. And most of our recipes we use, I would say our key ingredients. One key ingredient would be onion for many of our recipes. And so you have the patience to cook. Most of the Turkish cuisines has to be prepared in advance, not like the nouvelle cuisine that order comes and chefs, we go, we cook. So not at a minute. We prepare dishes maybe a day before, and to settle all the tastes that will combine together, and so we'll reach the maximum level of taste, and then we serve the next day. So that's why kebab is being very popular around the world, because it's a meat on a stick, as Anthony Bourdain used to say. It's a meat on a stick. You put it on a charcoal, and you can eat it everywhere around the world. So this is what makes it very reachable. And so imagine Turks migrating from here to the rest of the world, whatever they had to take easy as it is, as an entrepreneur, put the meat on a stick, cook it, vertical, horizontal, doesn't matter. And you start making money as a chef. So most of our recipes we cook on a slow heat, not like the Chinese cooking where they have the woks on a high volume of fire, where they saute quickly and flash cooking. But our cooking takes hours of preparation and cooking time. So we have a saying: as the food cooks, the cook also cooks. So while you are waiting, your patience is also, cooking. So you are also, maturing with the dish. So
I didn't know
would
about
say
this
one of
saying.
the-
I didn't know about this saying.
Yeah. So one of the things that I would say is very holistic. I would say, as the dish cooks, you're also cooking with the dish. So I'm just going to add a dash of water, which I love doing this because they become nice, translucent, soft. The sugar goes out from the onions. So the next thing is to place the artichokes. And the peas. Peas you can use most of the time when it is on season as it is now, which is a great time of the year because it is spring and summer, where the markets are, nicely colorful, all the ingredients are vibrant.
What
A dash
about
of,
that?
sorry,
Sorry,
please.
I interrupted. What about potatoes and carrots?
You can always add it, but potatoes and carrots for me, a little bit of more winterish, because artichokes you can find starting from February, the first harvest. So for carrots and potatoes, of course, you can use it during the month of February, March. But I like the dish a little lighter along the way during the summer without the root vegetables. So we have the dash of lemon juice going in there. Lemon didn't seem like it had stems, but had lots of it. So never mind, we got them out. So easy. So I'm just going to season it now. Salt. One funny thing I would say after I add the salt about Turkish cuisine is that the measurements of the cooking. And I add this water, just enough to cover the artichokes. And let me show you like this. Just enough water to cover the artichokes. And we're just going to cook it on a very, very, very slow heat. And just make it boil one time. It reach the boiling point, and then I will turn it low and then cook it for about 20 minutes until the artichokes are nice and tender. And then we'll serve it with dill and a bit of more drizzle of olive oil on the top of it. So what I was just going to say is the Turkish cuisine and its measurements. Our culture, we pass the information by not writing it, but with a message, by words. So from master to apprentice, everything is been passed with words, The master teaches like you have to do it like this, and then like this, like this, like this. This is back in the old times. So, but as a matter of fact, this cultural thing didn't evolve much. So the measurement has become by the eye. What does it mean? It's very interesting, by the eye. So you check by your feelings, actually, by your gut feelings. While you're cooking, if that month of winter you use a bit of less sugar because of the vegetables condition, for the month of summer you use more sugar, let's say, because of the conditions of the vegetables again. So by the eye, with your gut feelings, you adjust the recipe. That is actually quite interesting and quite difficult to follow it because you need to reach a level of mastership to understand this, which is interesting. We have actually a small anecdote about this. During the Ottoman regime, one of the French kings has sent their cooks to learn about our cuisine and culture. So it's been a couple of weeks, then a couple of months, and the months got after a month after a month. There is no words from the French cook in the Ottoman palace. So they send an ambassador to check, how is the cook doing? And so the ambassador came and said, what's up? How are you doing? And what's going on? Did you learn anything? He said, fantastic. Their cooking is great. And I've learned a lot of new things from them. So are you ready to come back? He said, no, I need a little bit more time. There are some things that I didn't learn much. And they say, what is this? I learned many things, but I never get to understand by the eye of cooking. So let me take a little bit more time. So which he took a couple of years for him to get into that level of understanding the cooking by the eye. So which is interesting for me because you also evolve with the recipe. When you're a commis, you have no patience. You want to deliver everything. So with the time you spend in the kitchen, with the time you understand the fundamentals of cooking, you're also becoming let's say chef de partie, demi-chef de partie, or sous chef. When you reach the master chef level, then you understand some of it. And so you evolve with recipe, you evolve with the cuisine. So it's not only cooking, it's also spiritual, as a matter of fact, which is very interesting. And when I graduated from Institute for Vaucluse in 2001, and I was ready to conquer the world, as many youngsters feel nowadays, of course. And my father gave me a great advice. He says, if you want to make a difference, learn your culture, learn your cuisine and culture, Okay, you finish French cuisine and culture, great. I'm sure you have learned lots of good things. But he says, now go find out, what is this your culture has to give you. I say, are you nuts? I graduated from the Institute for Vaucluse. I want to go and work with the Michelin star chefs and learn about their cuisine, learn about their culture. And one day will come and I will go back to my country and start developing my line of cooking, which I did. It took me about 10, 12 years. I've traveled the world and cooked in many other places, restaurants, hotels, and with others, different nationalities of chefs. And 2009, I decided to come back to Turkey. And since then, I've been working I've been working hands-on about the Turkish cuisine and culture, and been traveling Turkey all around it in a couple of times, which is very interesting. Each time you travel Turkey, the country has to offer you a different variety of recipes. You go during the winter, they take out something from their dry store, from their where they keep their products. And they say, you know, you never tasted it, did you? I said, wow, I've been 100 times in this place and you never show me this. He said, you never come on February. You were here on March. You were here on, you know, June. You were here on September. But, you know, February, this is what we have. And this is what we do. And it opens you another dimension. So you follow that. And which is interesting. So what country has to offer? And it has so many different varieties, seasonal. And so interesting. So going back to my first quote, you know, Turkish cuisine has been one of the greatest cuisines, but never has to been acknowledged by the rest of the world. So that was, you know, what a pity. Where did we do wrong? Marketing. Marketing, we never got to do right at that time until recently we have done it. And so we have to, I mean, most of you nowadays understand what is marketing all about. You can be the greatest in the world, but if you don't have the right tools to, you know, promote you and show you to the rest of the world, nobody knows you. You're a great cook in your little corner on your own world, which is, of course, you can be happy, but if you want, you know, to go and to show the rest of the world what you do, is not what it is. So in 2009, when I was at the Ritz-Carlton, I was appointed as a chef de cuisine, a young Turkish chef de cuisine with a great ideas in his mind, with the Nouvelle cuisine and all, and I was there to cook. And the marketing director was a great friend of mine, and we sit down with her, and for about 6 months, we did a research and development and analysis. What is the world going, where the world is going, what are the trends, what are the demands, and what are we providing? So we have to have the matching equilibrium, the formula. It took us, of course, no, nothing comes easy. We did a lots of search, we traveled, we ate, we talk with chefs, we talk with people who's foodie, and so step by step, with small steps, unfortunately, and we try to develop something. And we have marketed our name, we have marketed our cuisine, and with slowly, it's like the water drop effect. So the water drops and the effect goes wider and wider. And along my way, I understand that I cannot do this alone, you know, not only with my force or with my will that things will happen. So I had to search for other people who's willing to do this or who's already into this, and other chefs, other foodies. So I found them luckily, and I found them in Turkey, I found them around the world, in Europe. We become friends, we share the same ideas, same path. Some we are still together, some left us along the way, but continue their traditions and their own system, which we also have great respect for them. And so we become a team of chefs. And our goal for the future is to, you know, give and make a way for the youngest generation who's coming after us. So we want to be more like more role models, and at our late 40s, and, you know, show them, the youngsters, how to do and, you know, where to go. Be like the role model, the coaching, and so just give me a great inspiration, because there are people, you know, who's willing to do and who's looking after you, and, you know, want to take it to the next step. Of course, our breath is not enough for that. And so it's just basically a one life around passion of cooking, and not only cooking, because art in every form, life in every form, and artists should understand and be inspired from everything. So cooking is the outcome of it from my side, which I'm happy of it. And I have two boys, 16 and 12, and my greatest, how to say, next generation, I might call it. And because luckily my eldest son, he wants to be a hotelier, and my youngest son, he wants to be a chef. So I achieved my dream. So later on, in a couple of years, we might move back to France and for their education, and hopefully, and they will continue along their way as well, and might follow their daddy's footsteps. God
Very
knows.
good. Very good. What would you suggest them? They are going to follow your steps in a way, but we have right now participants from the alliance as well. What would you suggest young students, young people? How should they pursue this career?
Of course, I mean, everybody has to understand what is their purpose in life. First of all, why they are in life, and what is the purpose of you in here. So once you understand and find this, your way is going to be much clearer. And as the Rumi says, once you start walking, you will see the path opening it up in front of you. So just start to walk, get it going. And how the American says, get the ball rolling. So, and it's going to be much easier rather than waiting and planning and planning and planning and overthinking and killing it. And be brave and take the action. Of course, there are consequences in life. Nothing is easy. And there will be good days and bad days, and everything is going to pass. So remember this. This is going to pass. Good days will pass. Bad days will pass. So as long as you remember what is in your goal and what you want to deliver at the end of the day, you might be seen out of the targets, out of the way, but as long as you know what is your goal, you'll find a way again. You'll fall back into it. So just pursue it, just love it, and it will give you back.
As you mentioned, Rumi, we have an explorer, Ottoman explorer. We call him Evliya Çelebi, but he's also known as Mehmet Zilli. During his 40 years in life, he traveled different places in the Ottoman Empire. And he wrote his book, which is 10 books actually, not a single book. And he talks about food, what local things are produced during the time, that what they were eating and so on. Do you take such do you do research in that sense as well? I mean, what has been written, and in the Ottoman Empire, in the Ottoman Palace, Topkapı Palace as well. I think there are recordings of what they were cooking, what they were purchasing
Exactly.
in the archaeology museum and the museum itself, Topkapı Palace Museum. So what would you say about the Turkish cuisine? What was it at the time? What is it at the moment?
Actually, this morning, I just got back from Çorum, the central Anatolia, where Hatites and Hittites, they lived for centuries, and they were one of the oldest, greatest Anatolian civilizations at that time. It was about 3,500 years ago, or 4,000 years ago. And so we had a chance to discover their tablets, and with the archaeologists, along with their help of the archaeologists, of course, and with the information they passed to us, and so we understand what was the civilizations back then. So I try to understand, which each civilization and what was their best time, what was their prime, what was their culture like, their habits, and sociology and habits. So understanding, starting from Göbekli Tepe, the Potbelly Hill in Urfa, that's where we had the oldest ruins dating back to 12,000 years ago. So we have a layer of history in this land, starting from the hunter and gatherers until the Republic of Turkey. So all these civilizations has passed their information because we traded. We trade culture, we trade goods, we, as we say, we have a brides and grooms together, so this is a cultural exchange. So, I mean, Ottoman cuisine was a takeover from the Seljuks. Seljuks, they learned from Eastern Romans. Ottomans, they learned from Eastern Roman, Byzantines. We all learned from who was in this land when we came in 10,071, when the Seljuks came to Anatolia. But Seljuks came to Anatolia from Persia, so from the land of, now they call Persia, Iran. And so they developed their culture there and they bring it to Anatolia. So that's all cultural exchange, which is fantastic. Now, Italians, they call it ravioli. We call it mantı. In Far East, they call it dumplings. So noodles the same way. And we have many, many dishes that, travel along the way.
Very good. What
Maybe
about
there are
French?
some questions.
What about French cuisine? It is number one in the world. What makes it number one?
What makes it number one? The system makes it number one. The sustainability makes it number one. And of course, I mean, luckily, and I mean, not luckily, it's not luck that makes people successful all the time. But the system has also very strong intention along the way. And so dating back to the French Revolution and how all the cooks left the houses, restaurant system got started, restaurant system got written, it was approved, and it's not been that much of a change in the system, in the kitchen, in the service. All those rules were written back then. So there were restrictions to follow, which is great. I mean, because our cuisine, you do it by, I say, guts. I cook one recipe this way, and another household can cook it the other way around. But we might call it the same recipe, the same name. We never trademark it actually until the last 10 years. The last 10 years, Turkish municipalities, the cities, they have started trademarking their own recipes because they understand copyright is such an important thing, which is great, actually. That will give us a chance to save the information in one point.
Geographic indicators, right? Because I think it isn't, well, cooking by guts or learning the traditions from one another is great, but at the same time, I think we need to record everything. And geographic indicators is one of them. We need to, take them down so that we can bring them for the future generations, sustainability.
Definitely, definitely. And, it's very funny. And my mom and my both grandmothers, and they've been a great cooks, as many are in Turkey households. And so I learned most of the cooking from them, which is normal in any other Turkish household. And we always had books coming into our magazines and books, international magazines and books and coming to our house, and from America, from the States, and Bon Appetit or gourmet magazines, for instance. And the trends were always been the same: farm to table, sustainability, localization, following up your traditions, passing them to the next generations. And along the way, I've understand, my grandma was sustainable. My grandma, she was always, zero waste. We never waste anything in her kitchen because the cooking was designed for that. One day she prepares one recipe, the next day she uses the leftover rice to prepare another recipe, and so on and so forth. So it's a pass-on thing. So I always try to, my techniques, of course, evolving the technique is important. While hot, I always try to stick to the main idea of Anatolian traditions. That's, I believe, very important, and that's what makes us different from the rest of the world. So I'm just going to check how tender are the artichokes now. Which? We have a small puppy in the house. I don't know if you're hearing her from time to time.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
He's going crazy. He or she.
If I will bring her here, she will drive us crazy in all the kitchen now. Even our dog is free, so.
She is upset.
Yes, so now I have this artichokes cooked. They're nice and tender, al dente. What I'm going to do is just add the dill on the top of it. And then take some of this juice and put it in the bowl of artichokes, so which is nice. And to plate it, I'll just bring one of it here. Just put this in here. So better to eat it at the room temperature. You don't eat it right away because this is this serves as a cold dish. Better to eat it at the room temperature once again. The puppy is not.
Yes. She wants your attention.
Exactly, she wants that. And I wasn't at home, just out of the country for a week. Just got back this morning, and we'll travel back on Sunday again.
Oh.
But traveling is great, and we love to travel with family as well. I always take my kids wherever I go in this life.
Wonderful.
And they learn to explore in this young age, and they learn what is the environment of life and work. So I always take them to my kitchen, to my restaurant, to my hotels, for them to understand. I want them to get the poison at an early age. So the dish is like this. It is nice, and then another good drizzle of olive oil on top. Yeah. This early harvest cold press, another one. That's what I used for cooking was not the early harvest. Cold press is just basic olive oil, but on the top I do another dash of nice olive oil, a good dash. And just to give you an idea, I want to have a small bite. So artichokes is great for now this season, and we have the fava beans, which is our another favorite one, bakla, and my favorite one is going to come out in a couple of weeks, okra. Green beans, red beans, spinach, the roots of the spinach, which is great. I mean, so healthy and so light and so tasty to eat. And thank you very much for joining me. This is my story.
Thank you very
My
much.
food, and our
Wonderful.
Turkish cuisine. I
Thank
hope
you so much.
inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ali. It was an inspiration. Actually, for Turkish people, maybe this is quite common, but I am sure it was really interesting for others in the party and those participants who will watch this session later. Thank you so much, Ali, for your time. You're a very busy person. You're here, you're there. It's difficult to follow you, and you devoted your time for us.
Thank you very much for your patience. Actually, Eda'nın.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. It's a great honor.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, joining us today. This session was brought to you by Bilkent University Tourism and Hotel Management Department. And Ali was very kind. He devoted his time for us, and also he shared his experience and knowledge with us today. Thank you very much for joining us. I am the chair of the department. And this was a course as part of the Summer School of the Alliance by Institute Paul Bocuse. And next year, maybe Ali would be there cooking and will be involved live in a live session. Let's see how it is going to be. Elif is our chef instructor, and she is right now in Lyon at the Institute Paul Bocuse. She is there for the chef's training.
Super.
So super, yes. And she joined us, and a group of chefs there were watching us. 10, I think there are 10 chefs. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Elif Hocam.
It's wonderful. Thank you, Chef Ali.
My pleasure. I was the first Turkish student who went to Institute Paul Bocuse at that time, and very luckily there were others following the footsteps. And next month I will become in Turkey the alumni ambassador for the school.
Oh, wonderful!
Hope to send many other kids.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yesterday I also met with someone from Turkey, Mehmet. I also mentioned about you, yes, and now he sent his loves from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Elif. Have a great time there. Thank you for joining us today as well. Ali,
Thank you.
it's great pleasure for us, great honor for us to have you. Thank you so much for your work, also for your efforts and ambition for the Turkish cuisine. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much again, Eda, also from my side. And thank you, Chef Ali. And I hope to see you very soon in France. Again, thank you very much on behalf of Institut Paul Bocuse, Chef Ali. It was a pleasure to have you again.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci, merci.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye bye.